Today's training is going to be straight out of becoming your own banker. These are the 5 simple rules of IBC. One of the rules of IBC is don't steal the peas. And in layman's terms, in terms of infinite banking, what does that mean? Don't what? Not pay back your loan. Because then what are you doing?
Stealing from your own bank.
Yeah, you're stealing from your own bank. Number 2 is to be generous in capitalizing your system. What does that mean? Money in the bank. It's going to be in only one of 3 places, right? It's either going to be in the bank, it's going to be in your bank, or it's going to be somewhere else, right? I mean, those are really the only, like, everyone that holds money, it's either in the bank, it's probably not, but we want it to go into their bank, or it's somewhere else, right? And somewhere else could be what?
Stock market, real
Stock,
estate.
funds, mutual funds, real estate, under the mattress, their wallet. It could be anywhere. It could be an inventory in their store. It could be in the walls, right? You ever watch like a drug dealing movie and they rip out the wall and there's like millions of dollars on the wall? Right? There could be money anywhere else, right? But every time that there's money sitting there, right here, there's really 2 places that most people put their, well, let's just go with those 4 homes of money. If it's at the bank or if it's in cash, what's it doing? Down. Because what's happening, right? So it's going down about 7% a year every single year, no matter what. Somebody says inflation is 3%.
No, that's
Tell them to go to the grocery store and stop watching the news. That's the truth. Just tell them to go to the grocery store and stop watching the news. All right, and if you look through your phone and you've bought something, or you can even look through Amazon, there's a lot of videos about this on Instagram and TikTok and stuff. But if you go through and look at something that you bought a year ago for $20 and then click on it and see what it's charging for today, promise you inflation's over 10%. This is what inflation really is. They printed 80% of all the money circulating in the economy in the last 5 years. Right? The other option is to go put it in, let's just say, the market of some sort, whether that's crypto, stock, 401k, IRA, right? Could it go up? Yeah, but it could go, right. So I'm very anti-risk. And if somebody is cool with the risk, don't fight them on the risk. Okay, just as a selling note. If somebody's like, I'm cool if I lose money in the market, then say, okay. Some people are down for that. How many of your friends gamble on sports? Right? How many of your friends like to go to the casino? Right? So this is stuff like some people like it. Most people do because they're instant gratification addicts. Right? So it's okay, but we're here to protect it. Right? The other option to have it in real estate, which I like real estate. The number one challenge with having your money held in real estate. Illiquid. So liquidity is the biggest problem. So here, if they have it in cash, what's their biggest problem?
It's not doing anything for them.
Inflation. If they're here, what's the biggest problem?
Risk.
And if they're here, what's the biggest problem? Liquidity. Right? Or accessibility, depending on who you're talking to. But if you're talking to a legitimate person, like, you got to use the word liquid. Number 3 is don't do business with the banks. What's the definition of doing business with the banks? There would be 2 situations. One, which is called what?
Depositing your money.
And then what's the other option?
Borrowing money.
Right, which is done. Deposits and loans. Now, unfortunately, there's no account number and routing number for a life insurance policy, so the bank still has to be a pass-through entity for you, right? And there's only one amount of money that you have to leave in the bank every month, which is what? You want to make sure your premium's there. But if you feed it properly and you manage your money properly, which is something I'm working on, like a spreadsheet, or maybe it could even be a software at some point. We all have fixed expenses, right? We all have to pay most of the things that we pay every month. We pay it every month, right? And so if you knew every single month that you were gonna make 10 grand and you knew that you got paid bi-weekly, so you were gonna get paid, just for numbers purposes, you're gonna get paid 5K on the 1st and 5K on the 15th. And you knew that on the 1st you would also have to pay out 6K in expenses on the 1st, you could structure all your money in a policy properly so that you're always borrowing. You can let this build up, and then on the 20th of the month, you borrow 6K, and then you use this money to go pay this stuff, and then you're making more money again. So imagine on the 20th of every month, you just did your money, and you said, next month I'm gonna have to borrow 10 grand. So on the 20th, you sit down and you request your policy loan. You only have to do it once a month, and then you have all the money you need to spend for the next month. And then all your money goes back into it. Then you sit down and say, how much am I going to need next month? Then you borrow it out. And just request one policy loan a month, but it's for all your bills. And if you do it on the 20th, it'll be there before the 1st. Just thinking out loud. 4 is think long term, because even the way that we design things, right? For most people, most life insurance policies are going to take 15 to 25 years to actually make sense, right? Ours will take shorter than that, but the real benefit still comes 15 to 20 years down the road. And so you have to think long term, right? And your guy Schway, we both think the same way. And this is from Alex Hermosi. He says, you got to be very impatient in the present. Like, you know how I am, and like, I need everything to happen right now. Like, I needed it to happen yesterday. Always thinking so far ahead. So like, you act impatiently in the present so you can get shit done fast. Like, you have to be. You can't be like, oh, it's fine, I'll make money in a little bit. Like, no, you got to get as many deals as possible, as many calls as possible, as many deals right now as possible. So like, sometimes I might, and this is something I'm working on, I might put other stuff to the side, but the one thing that I always prioritize is making money. Right? So like, I could have a bunch of recap emails, but if I'm only filling out apps, I'd rather fill out apps than send out recap emails. Everything else is a priority less than making money. Beside our relationship. All right, but that's the truth. All right. And so you have to think long term, and you have to teach your clients how to think long term, which is transitions into number 5, which is to rethink your thinking. Who were we talking? Oh, it was Kashif, wasn't it? Kashif was like, this must be really, really hard to change people's minds about. He's like, if you're talking to a normal 9-to-5 jobber, to teach, it's not that they don't believe in it, because it's a paradigm shift. Because how many of you grew up believing one thing and now you believe something else? So beliefs can change like this, right? Tony Robbins says beliefs are like a tabletop, right? And all I have to do to knock this table over is do what? Knock one leg out, right? So it's your job to knock a leg out. And a lot of times when you knock a leg out, you're going to change people's thinkings. Now, most people are holding on to the legs of the table as dear as possible. But you have to be totally open to changing so you can be willing to change, right? You know, in terms of beliefs, there's so many things that we grow up believing, and then you realize that they're not true, or you meet someone and you're like, everything that I thought was wrong, right? Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the whole book is that concept, right? So you have to always rethink your thinking. And this is where like your financial education comes in. You have to be financially educated, because the number one thing you're going to give to your clients is financial education.